This video starts, make sure you guys drop a like on today's video. It helps a lot, and it takes literally 2 seconds out of your time to drop a like. It helps with the YouTube algorithm, and I would appreciate it a lot. Now, in today's video, we have a lot to talk about. NBA 2K23 has, I believe, officially been out for a week starting today. So it's been 7 days that I've actually had 8 days to play the game because I played it early on Xbox. But basically, we've had a week to play NBA 2K23 and form our opinions on the game. So I'm going to talk about mostly the things that I think are the biggest things that are going to change in 2K and the things that I think need to be adjusted a little bit. Now, for the most part, you guys know me. You guys know that I criticize 2K. If 2K is bad, I will make video after video after video on the game. But in my personal opinion, as of right now, with the game being out for a week or the game being out for 8 days, whatever, I think that this 2K is actually a pretty decent 2K. I didn't want to say decent. I think this is a good 2K. I think they have done a good job so far with 2K. Now, I need to understand that there's a thing called a honeymoon stage, meaning that basically, when a game comes out, it's in its honeymoon stage, which means that the game essentially can't do any wrong no matter how bad the game is. A game's always going to have flaws. A game's always going to be perfect. But this is a very popular thing within the 2K community because everyone in the 2K community is so sick and tired of the last 2K they played. So for this year, it was NBA 2K22. So when NBA 2K23 comes out, it's very hard for the game to be boring or for the game to be bad like the first week or 2 weeks of the game. And then once that period's over, people really start realizing the problems with the game. For the most part, NBA 2K23 is a decent game. Now, I play Park. I don't know if you guys are a My Team player or an offline player, but me, myself, I am a Park player. So all the things that I have played have came from Park. Now, I don't know what you guys play. If you guys play Park, I want you to type the number 4. If you guys are a My Team or an offline guy, I want you to type the number 7. I'm curious to see what kind of game modes that you guys play. But for me, I play Park. I'm like level 28 or something like that, 96 overall. So I have a fair amount of game time on the game. I've played against sweats. I played against very bad people. I started the game, not knowing how to play the game, and then I think I've adjusted pretty well and understand the game. But there's 3 main things that I want to talk about in today's video. The first thing I want to talk about, which is not gameplay related at all, that I kind of have a little bit of an issue with, and I've seen a lot of people talking about, is the amount of VC it takes to actually upgrade your guy this year. Now, I think the build system this year is amazing. I think the bad system is a little confusing to a casual, and the build system is a little confusing to the casual. But for the most part, I think they did a good job. They got rid of the pie charts, but then the upgrades this year just feel like you have to give up your leg and your arm to actually upgrade your player. My player is a 96, about to be a 97 overall, including all of my animations and all of my clothing. I believe I've spent over 400K. Now, I don't know if it's different from centers to point guards. I made a 6'7", 3-point forward. That was a lot to say. So basically, I made a 6'7". It's basically a point guard. It's not a center or plays point guard. So I don't know if the upgrades are different from center to point guard. I'm really not too sure. But what it costs to upgrade your player is absolutely insane. I believe if you get your rebirth build, I don't know how much it is, but I think it's close to 200K or over 200K to actually do your rebirth build, which allows for you to get to a 90 right off the rip. But you still have to upgrade your player. You don't just magically get those upgrades. But that is the one thing I had an issue with. And the second thing that I had an issue with, which is actually gameplay related, is the paint defense this year. Now, other than the paint defense this year, I don't think there's really many gameplay issues at all. The paint defense this year is insane. The only reason why I have an issue with the paint defense being the way it is because of how much of a skill gap there is to shooting. I believe there should be a skill gap to layups as well. If you're a slasher, if you have like 99 driving dunk, you should still have to somewhat at least time a layup if you're absorbing contact. Now, if you're open, obviously you're going to dunk the ball, but I feel that a lot of like 35% contested layups go in. I know there's going to be some people in the comment section that are like, oh, just put up your interior defense. You have no interior defense. I've played with inside centers, I've played with outside centers, and regardless of what build they are, contested layups are going to go in. Even on my guy, I've put in like 20-30% contested layups on centers who are like 6'9", 6'10", 6'11", and it still goes in. So I definitely think paint defense needs a buff a little bit. And another thing that I was going to talk about, but they actually ended up patching it, was post scores. 2K patched post scores so fast, I'm actually shocked. Although I do think that post scorers should be able to post score, not at the rate that they were doing But I'm so glad that 2K actually listened to the community in patch post scores, which is a big thing because it shows that 2K is actually listening to the community. The last thing I want to talk about, which everyone knows what's coming, what everyone has been talking about with NBA 2K23, is the shooting in this year's game. Now, before I dive into everything, I want to say after playing the game for as long as I have, shooting is perfectly fine. Now, I understand both sides of this. I understand why there's people who are angry, and I understand why people like myself think that shooting is fine. There's a lot of things that go into shooting this year that I think a lot of people don't consider and don't factor in the reason why they may feel. I think the biggest thing people have an issue is why they feel like their jump shot changes, which I feel the same way too. But we're going to dive into everything, and I'm going to try to talk about everything. First of all, I saw yesterday that people were tweeting out that shooting changed or something like that. Shooting has not changed. I guarantee you shooting has not changed because I play a lot of park, and I would be able to tell if whites were going in more or if it was easier to green. Shooting has not changed. Mike Wang even confirmed this by tweeting out that he has not touched anything in regards to shooting. And the reason why people feel like shooting has changed the past couple of days is because the game has been out for a week and people have finally learned their jump shot and people have finally got badges. Let me tell you right now, this year, learning your jump shot is crucial. Not just learning your jump shot, but learning the release of your shot. So for me, for example, the way I shoot, I don't even time my jump shot like that anymore. I literally look at my release point of my shot, and that's when I release it. Because anytime that you catch the ball or you do a pull-up or you're fading or whatever, your release point is different for every kind of shot, depending on how close the guy is to, depending on how tired you are. Your release point, which is the top of your shot, is changing based on all of those factors. So this is the first 2K that I've ever played that I play with no meter, that I don't even time my jump shot. I just look at the release point. But that is the reason why people are making more shots. People are getting their badges, people are learning the release point, and that makes sense. People are tweeting out that shooting has been changed, whatever. It hasn't been changed. But I think the perfect way to put shooting in NBA 2K23 is what Cash Nasty tweeted out. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you these tweets. So he tweeted out this: I don't mind the shooting in 2K. It takes time and skill to hit greens consistently. It doesn't bother us gamers. But just imagine you coming home from a 9 to 5 and barely have any time to play 2K, and you go online and you can't hit a green. I wouldn't even pick up the game again. I get this is good for content creators like myself to keep the game more quote-unquote competitive. I mean, more than half of my supporters watch me because of my frustrations and rage of the game. So this is a win for me, but I'm just speaking for the people in the back, meaning that he's speaking for the people who don't have a voice. I agree with this tweet. Now, I personally think shooting is fine, and I would love for shooting to stay the same, but I think 2K is going to realize that the casual player, and being a casual is not an insult, a casual player of 2K is not going to have fun, because this is the main problem that every video game has with games nowadays. You don't know if you should balance the competitive side or the casual side. Casuals will always make up more on a video game than the competitive side. There's maybe a few games that are different, but for the majority in the video game space, casuals make up way more than the competitive aspect of the game. If you make the game more casual, competitive players are gonna get mad. If you make the game too competitive, casual players aren't gonna have fun, and that's kind of what's happening this year. If I was a casual player and I had responsibilities that only allowed me to play the game like 2 hours every other day, and I got on and I didn't have time to learn my jump shot, I would be mad too if I couldn't green. Getting on there and shooting 1 for 7 every day is not fun. People are eventually going to quit. They're not going to make another build, which is inevitably going to lose 2K money in the long run. So in my personal opinion, I do think shooting is going to be changed. I do think they're going to allow whites to go in eventually. But for right now, let's just enjoy the shooting that we have. But I'm curious on your guys' opinion. Do you think they're going to change shooting? Do you think they're going to keep it the same? I'm curious on your guys' opinion in the comment section below. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like. Do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.